Hello class, today I'm doing my presentation on why I think pennies should be eliminated from America's currency. I would like to start with a question. If you saw a penny lying on the ground, would you bother to bend down and pick it up? I personally would not waste the time or the effort to stop and pick up the penny. These days, pennies are practically worthless and add no value to a person's wallet. In 1913, a modern day quarter could buy what a penny could. Pennies are steadily losing their value both in the economy and in consumers' eyes, and because of this, I feel they should be eliminated from circulation. Pennies have been around for a long time. They used to have their value they used to have their value to the average American, but due to inflation, the penny has lost practically all value. The first official opposition to the penny came in the form of a bill Arizona Representative Jim Coble introduced in 1989 to eliminate the penny. It received some support, but ultimately it was not passed. The penny debate is still a hot topic in both government and civilian life. The first main reason why the penny should be eliminated from American currency is the fact that it actually costs the US government money to produce pennies. Every penny is worth more than it is costs more to make than it's actually worth. It costs 1.5 cents to make a penny, and the penny only costs 1 cent. Also, that 1.5 cent price doesn't include the price of labor or the price to ship the pennies to where they need to go. Because of this negative price point, it causes the US Mint to actually have to mass produce pennies. And so they're making way too many pennies than we actually need or use. And so because of this negative price point, that means that we're making tons of pennies and they're just going to waste because nobody really uses pennies. And we're still losing money while we're doing this. Another reason why pennies should be taken out of circulation is the fact that pennies and even other coins for that fact have become almost obsolete. With the popularity of credit cards and debit cards, Americans rarely, if ever, carry around coins for a number of reasons. To start off, they're heavy and a hassle to carry around. Compared to a dollar bill, which weighs 1 gram, a penny, which is the least heavy coin, weighs 2.5 grams. That means that we carry a $1 bill, we can carry a $1 bill, which is 100 times more valuable than a penny, with way less weight in our pocket. This increased weight to coins and their lower value makes the average American see little to no value in any coin other than the quarter. Personally, I use quarters for things like vending machines and the little meters in cities to park, but other than that, I don't really see much value to coins. Every year, Americans throw away $62 million in coins, and many of those are lost in places like couch cushions, and people don't even realize that they lose them because they're not looking for them. Who looks for coins when you're not even going to use them? The average American, it is even reported that 11% of Americans say they would rather throw away pennies than hold on to them. I know personally, I fall in that percentages. Every time I buy something, I'll take my change, I'll filter out the quarters, and then I'll just toss them over my shoulder wherever I am. I'll either throw them away in the garbage, or if I'm just in my house, I'll just throw them in the nearest garbage can. The average American doesn't see the penny as worth the time it takes to use, and a store doesn't see it as worth the time that it takes to accept it. Every time a cashier has to accept a penny, they have to count. If they accept a penny, they have to count it, make sure it costs the right amount. And if they have to take the change, then they have to give out the change. They have to count each individual penny. It takes a lot more time than it's actually worth. Surprisingly, even charities don't like receiving these pennies because it actually costs them money to have to sort them, and the coins are just a big hassle to transport to their main operating basis. Um, Although many people agree that pennies should be eliminated, there is still some opposition to this. The opposition mainly stems from people that are either sentimental about pennies and think that because they've been around for so long that they deserve a spot in America's currency system. Personally, I don't really feel like that's a great reason to do something just because something's been around for a long time. I don't really feel like that's a good reason to keep it around. Also, some people think that um, they're worried that if you get rid of a penny, then the government's gonna have to find a way to kind of replace that slot in our currency, or they'll do something like a rounding tax, where businesses will just round up to the nearest dollar rather than round down or something, and people don't want to lose their money on stuff like that. But there have actually been studies on this type of thing. Wake Forest did a study and they incorporated sales tax and other types of factors to see if this would actually cost us more money and if a rounding tax is actually something that could happen. And they decided that there would be virtually no change to America's currency system. The military also confirmed that there would be no change when they eliminated the penny. So what they did is they actually eliminated the penny on a lot of their bases, and they implemented this thing. I forget exactly what the word was, but it was a acronym, and it was just kind of like an IOU. Like you don't really have to pay it back because they're just pennies, they're just worth 1 cent. And they found that this is actually a really reliable way to do it. And so many bases throughout the world that are American have just gotten rid of the penny and just rely on nickels. So what their businesses will do on the basis is they'll just round to the nearest nickel amount, either up or down. And actually, the final thing I want to talk about is the fact that pennies are actually kind of dangerous to the environment. Pennies are made up of zinc and copper, and when you're mining zinc, it actually is kind of hurtful to the environment the way they process it and mine it out of the ground. It actually can cause some environmental problems, and there's no reason to worry about that stuff whenever we can just easily get rid of a penny that we don't use anymore, and we can solve many more problems. We can protect the environment. We can deplete America's wallet weight and just move to dollar bills, or we can just use quarters and higher value coins, and we can just move to debit and credit and completely get rid of all carrying needs for money if we really want to. And I think that after looking at all the facts, it's pretty clear to say that pennies are obsolete at this point. They're not worth the time or the resources that they cost to make them, and they certainly are not necessary for the American currency system to function. I think it's time to take initiative and eliminate the penny from America's currency circulation. Thank you for your time.